Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to Canal Algérie's news in English. And the beginning is with the headlines. The President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, extends his condolences following the death of the friend of the Algerian Revolution, Roberto Menez, also called Mahmoud the Argentinian, and praises his participation in the Algerian Revolution and his loyalty to Algeria. Algeria reiterates its commitment to promoting human rights and protecting them, and the participants in the session of Human Rights Council praise Algeria's efforts in the field. The first edition of the Arab and African Forum of Small and Medium Enterprises kicks off on Saturday with an aim to promote products from different countries and to create a complementary economic climate between Arab and African countries. Internationally, the Spanish capital Madrid is witnessing a large demonstration in support of the Sahrawi cause, and in Morocco, demonstrators continue taking to the streets to demand their legitimate rights. Algerian television wins 2 awards as part of the competition of the Arab Festival for Radio and Television of the Arab States Broadcasting Union in the Saudi capital, Riyadh. Good evening, those were today's headlines. First in our news, the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, extended his condolences in a letter to the family of the activist Roberto Menez, also known as Mahmoud the Argentinian, in which he expressed how deeply affected he is following the news of the death of the friend of the revolution, a member of the National Liberation Army who joined the glorious Liberation Revolution in the year 1959 after he had contact with the envoys of the National Liberation Front to Buenos Aires, the Argentinian capital, in 1956. The President of the Republic recalled on this painful occasion the contribution of the late war veteran in the ranks of the National Liberation Army and his loyalty to Algeria, in which he lived during the wake of independence, addressing his family and relatives in Algeria and Argentina with his sincere condolences and feelings of sympathy, praying Allah Almighty to grant them patience. The friend of the Algerian Revolution, member of the National Liberation Army, Roberto Menez, also known as Mahmoud the Argentinian, has passed away on Saturday and was buried at the cemetery of Al-Alia in the presence of his family and members of the revolutionary family. On Saturday, the Ministry of War, Veterans and Right Holders announced the passing of Roberto Menez, a friend of the Algerian Liberation Revolution. He supported the Algerian cause and even joined the ranks of the National Liberation Army, which is how he became known as Mahmoud the Argentinian. Manal Amari with more.
Roberto Menez supported the Algerian cause throughout its struggle for liberation, which is how he earned the nickname of Mahmoud l'Argentin among the ranks of the National Liberation Army. The deceased joined the ranks of the Liberation Revolution in 1959. However, he made contact with the Liberation Front envoys in Buenos Aires in 1956, at a time when he was the Secretary General of the Argentine Workers' Party. He also contributed to making the Algerian cause and its struggle known. After being heavily influenced by the Algerian Revolution for months, Roberto, so-called Mahmoud, joined the National Liberation Army, where he worked on the technical side, namely in the arms manufacturing industry, before settling in Algiers the day after the independence. Sadly, on Saturday, Algeria lost a friend of the glorious revolution.
The Justice Minister Abdelrashid Tabbi reaffirmed in Geneva Algeria's commitment to reinforcing human rights in Algeria and worldwide, including to the benefit of colonized people. Abdelrashid Tabbi, leading a multi-sectoral delegation, delivered a speech in which he presented the fourth report of Algeria. Sabrin Tafarganit with the details.
Minister of Justice Abdelrashid Tabbi stressed in Geneva at a Human Rights Council Intergovernmental Working Group meeting that Algeria's fourth report faithfully reflects the achievements since the third report presented in May 2017. The minister reiterated Algeria's strong commitment to working for the strengthening and protection of human rights everywhere in the world.
Countries facing the threat of terrorism and extremism have taken certain measures to preserve the sustainability of the state while respecting citizens' freedom. Measures adapted to the extent of these phenomena, taking into account the level of the threat. Crimes of opinion and that of press do not exist, not even the custodial sentences of journalists within the framework of exercising their professions. The rare cases deliberately overexploited on the networks concerning individuals persecuted on the basis of public law and which have nothing to do with freedom of expression. In this context, I would like to point out that the Algerian government is preparing a fundamental draft law of information, which will be soon presented to Parliament. This new text will define the conditions for exercising this noble profession, its rights and its commitments. Regarding freedom of worship and religion, enshrined in the Constitution, it is practiced within the framework of the law and without any discrimination. The state guarantees its protection against any political or ideological influence in application of Article 51 of the Constitution.
The wide majority of countries taking part in this session welcomed Algeria's achievements in the field of human rights and the reform projects opened towards their promotion. Belgium salutes Algeria's efforts since the previous review, notably what concerns women and children. Canada salutes Algeria for its adoption of positive language on women's rights in the 2020 Constitution.
France salutes the ambitions in terms of human rights provided for by the conventional revision of 2020, in particular with regard to respect the right of independence and justice and the fight against violence against women. We do consider and appreciate Algeria's efforts for reinforcing and consolidating human rights.
The participating countries appreciated Algeria for its cooperation with international mechanisms through inviting special rapporteurs of the Human Rights Council and its open invitation to the High Commissioner for Human Rights to visit Algeria.
At the end of his participation in the 5th edition of the Paris Peace Forum, Minister of Foreign Affairs and the National Community Abroad, Ramtan Lamamra, held talks with his Maltese counterpart, Ian Burch, where both ministers reviewed bilateral relations in different fields and the means to strengthen them and promote them further to the level of historical friendships that unite the two countries. Algerian television won 2 awards as part of the competition of the Arab Festival for Radio and Television of the Arab States Broadcasting Union in the Saudi capital, Riyadh. The television received an honorary award for its efforts in media work, while the second award was won by the television in the category of the films and programs related to the Palestinian cause, with the documentary titled The Profession of Death, which narrates the challenges of the Palestinian journalist and the hardships and obstacles he faces from the Zionist occupation. The documentary is by the fellow Algerian TV journalist and correspondent from Palestine, Wissam Abu Zaid. The first edition of the Arab and African Forum of Small and Medium Enterprises kicked off on Saturday in the presence of the Trade Minister and that of Finance and Industry. The event took place in the presence of 120 participants with an aim to promote products from different countries and create a complementary economic climate between Arab and African countries. The details in this story by Melissa Kebash.
Thus, Max's main objective is to build a platform of trade exchange and cooperation for small and medium, Arab and African enterprises at the national and international levels, so as to concretize the economic resolutions made during the 31st session of the Arab Summit.
قد أولت الحكومة الجزائرية
The Algerian state under the leadership of the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, gives a great importance to small and medium enterprises by providing them with the necessary facilitations and establishing a diverse annual program that will allow them to participate in international economic activities.
مبادرة بعد القمة العربية.
This initiative is the first of its kind after the Arab Summit we celebrate today with our brothers from Arab countries within the framework of economic exchanges. Several enterprises are present in this exhibition to create a joint Arab industry per excellence. The exhibition witnessed the participation of no less than 120 local, Arab and African exhibitors to create new business opportunities. We are here with an aim to approach Arab companies and try to export raw materials and finished products, hoping to reach African countries as well. Arab countries are aiming to invest in Algeria. Algeria has a lot of potentials and a hard-working manpower, as well as products that meet international standards. We are specialized in the agri-food sector, and we hope by the end of this event to gain more partnerships that could help us develop our company even more. Investors, head of enterprises, experts as well as contractors discussed several points, namely the access of medium and small enterprises to innovative and diverse financial tools and the successful experiences in their promotion in the Arab world and in Africa, as well as the facilitations provided by the state for the benefit of foreign investors. We aim to improve the investment climate as well as the Investment Act, which includes all this intangible as well as the Investors Act within the framework of the project and other elements that build trust between the investor and the administration. The debate scheduled on this occasion will tackle prospects of cooperation between Arab and African countries in the small and medium enterprises field, alongside the opportunities and challenges of the fourth industrial revolution and the digital transformation.
In the parliamentary activity, the Minister of Labour, Employment and Social Security, Youssef Sharfa, presented in front of the Finance and Budget Committee at the National People's Assembly the budget of the sector, as well as measures suggested in the framework of the finance bill. The Minister has affirmed that the investment aid mechanisms will be updated and that new legislative text will be indicated to improve the business climate, adding that 2023 will be the year of investment and the promotion of work. The Minister of Transport, Canal, proceeded on Saturday to the installation of the Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of the Airport Services and Infrastructure Management Corporation of Algiers, Mohamed Saleh Kouash. The installation ceremony took place at the company's headquarters at Houari Boumediene International Airport in the presence of the Governor of Algiers, the CEO of Air Algérie, and executives of the ministry. Internationally, Austrian parliamentarians called on the European Commission and the Council of Europe to respect the judgments of the Court of Justice of the European Union, which deem any economic or trade agreement between the European Union and Morocco, including Western Sahara, as null and void. On this occasion, Ubi Bushraya Bashir informed Austrian parliamentarians of the latest developments in the Sahrawi cause. The Spanish capital, Madrid, is witnessing a large demonstration in support of the Sahrawi cause, calling for the right of the Sahrawi people to self-determination and freedom. Details with Melissa Kebash.
They won't shut us down. Western Sahara is free. The only solution is self-determination. These slogans and many more were chanted by thousands in the Spanish capital, Madrid, demanding peace for the Sahrawi people, its right to self-determination, justice, and respect the human rights of its people. We are expressing our support for the Sahrawi people through this manifestation. We assure you that we will continue our fight for the Sahrawi people until they regain their independence. We represent the Spanish Association friendly with the Sahrawi people, and we are participating in this manifestation to bring support to the Sahrawi people and their right to self-determination. This immense protest movement was organized to denounce the Madrid Agreement signed on November 14, 1975, that led to the illegal occupation of Western Sahara by Morocco. The Sahrawi people was determined to continue its fight until it gains independence, and on this occasion we would like to thank our diaspora for responding to the call of this manifestation. The flag of the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic was raised all over the streets of Madrid to express the determination and commitment of the Sahrawi people, calling on the international community to point out the Moroccan colonizer and get the Sahrawi people their right to self-determination and freedom.
Still in international news, Moroccans continue their everyday struggle against a regime that is turning a blind eye to their legitimate demands while calls are multiplying for mass demonstrations. Mana Al-Ammari.
في كروسه دايرين في كروسه ونبيعوا ونشري بيهم ما كاين لا خدمه لا ردمه
هادشي اللي كديروا فيه راه ما يرضي الله لا العبد.
These are the daily Moroccan cries, excruciating cries of Moroccan mothers and fathers who are sparing no effort to protect their children and improve their country's situation in order to ensure a better future for upcoming generations. Moroccans have been forced to face the difficult socio-economic situation in addition to various restrictions. Now they are once again obliged to deal with the dramatic inflation. Last September, the general price increase reached 8.3%, which penalizes all classes of the Moroccan society. We want the government to know that people are suffering, and if this situation continues, a revolution will erupt. There is an increase in foodstuffs prices, and people are unable to cope. There's the price hike, and people are suffering. Is the government's will to lead us to disaster? Our children are unemployed and we are suffering. My husband is disabled. He has diabetes. One of his arms has been cut off. He is blind and I am ill. Moroccans are relentlessly taken to the streets of various cities every day to denounce the high living costs and the price increase of basic foodstuffs and fuel. Protests, sit-ins, as well as strikes have been spread across the country. And the Social Front, the Moroccan Workers' Union, in addition to various other associations, are calling for the organization of massive demonstrations in Rabat and Casablanca.
غادي يكون هناك نداء المغاربه كاملين واساسا المعنيين بالامر سواء في الطبقه الوسطى او الطبقات الشعبيه دعوه واضحه.
We've been calling on Moroccans of all social classes to take to the streets and defend their rights. We need to display our anger and outrage beyond social media.
محتاجين اننا ننزلوا للشارع، محتاجين انه ما يبقاش افتراضي، كاين غضب كاين ملموس.
The Moroccan people's purchasing power keeps on plummeting, which continues to drive a larger number of Moroccans below the poverty line. This situation is unbearable and it foreshadows more protests and demonstrations. Through anger and outrage against a regime that privileges the rich and marginalizes the poor, Moroccans continue on denouncing this situation, as well as the 2023 finance law, which widens the gap between the rich and the poor.
الآن الدولة عازمة على أنها تزيد تفقر الفقراء، تزيد تضرب القوة الشرائية والقدرة الشرائية ديال بالخصوص ديال
الطبقة المتوسطة. The government is determined to make the poor even poorer by decreasing their purchasing power, namely the middle and lower classes, through a set of procedures introduced in the 2023 finance law.
هذا القانون هذا اللي مع الأسف الشديد غادي يزيد يحمل الكلفة ديال واحد المجموعة ديال الإجراءات اللي بغات ديرها الدولة، غادي يحملها الطبقة الوسطى.
Despite of all the violence and repression, Moroccans remain determined to fight, to demand a decent life.
Moroccans are still taken to the streets every day. It is high time to put an end to injustice and to normalization with the Zionist entity, according to them. Sabrin Taferginit will tell us more.
poverty, marginalization, unemployment, misery, corruption, and freedoms violation. In Moroccan streets, people severely denounced this current situation, starting with demonstrations against normalization with the Zionist entity. It should be mentioned that Moroccans have been denouncing for years their social life conditions that they could not bear. Today, Moroccans demand a series of reforms touching various fields. Thousands of FES and Macnet graduated students took to the streets to express their outrage and fed up with their hopeless situation facing unemployment.
تعرضنا لواحد القمع، واحد الجحافل قمعيه بكل التلاوين. علاش؟ لاننا كنطالبوا بالحق المشروع ديالنا، كنأكدوا وكنشددوا اننا غنبقاو صامدين مناضلين للمطالبه بالحق الانساني اللي كيكفلوا لنا القانون الدولي عامه. من بعد ما قرينا وضحينا ما غيكونش المصير ديالنا الشوارع. للاسف الشديد كنوجه الرساله ديالي لوزير التعليم اللي جاب جره قلم وحطم الاحلام ديالنا والطموحات ديالنا. الا كان وزير فايت 60 عام وقادر يصدر قرارات ديالو ويسير امه اللي فايتها 45 مليون مغربي، زعما انا في نظره ما غنقدرش نسير 300 تلميذ في الموسم الدراسي. حنا غادي نبقاو صامدين وكنأكدوها، ما غاديش نتنازلوا، والدليل انه سنه كامله وحنا في النضال. كنأكدوا باننا ما غنتنازلوش على الحق المشروع ديالنا، ما بقى عندنا ما نخسروا. الى الاباء ديالنا ولينا كنحشموا نقابلوهم بعد ما ضحاو بحياتهم باش يقريونا. يعني ولينا علاء المجتمع، ولينا قنابل موقوته غتنفجر في اي لحظه، ولينا كومه ديال الامراض النفسيه والاكتئاب. يعني فما بالك ان 2 مليون معطل يعيش هذه الحاله هذه؟ شنو كتسنى؟ راه جاي انفجار اجتماعي.
Manifestations previously taking place in public reflect the miserable socio-economic situation, while Makhzen continues to ignore the claims, remain silent and indifferent.
الإصلاحات ضريبية لصالح البرجوازية ولصالح الطبقة الرأسمالية، قرارات تنزل على أبناء الجياع مجحفة تجويعية تزيد من تفقير الفقير ومن إغناء الأغاني. مدينة فاس حدث ولا حرج، مستوى النقل مزري، لا فضاءات خضراء، لا ملاعب القرب، لا فرص شغل. إلى أين يدفعون بنا وطنيا وإلى أين يدفعون بنا محليا؟ ليعلم الجميع أن هذا الشعب الشامخ سيقول كلمته. غدا أو بعد غد ستنزل الملايين للشارع، آنذاك فليبحثوا على من يحاوره. لا اعتقد ان اي واحد في هذه البلاد بقات عنده المصداقيه ديالو في الخطاب ديالو اللي غيقدر انه يكالميهم ويهدئهم ويدخلهم للمنازل ديالهم.
Moroccan cities are now the scene of manifestations, initiated demonstrations by local organizations through this week, demanding better life conditions and denouncing the policy adopted by the Makhzen regime.
And with that, our news edition comes to a close. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great night.